People like Galactus. Quote, Galactus gives this film real stakes and his presence is felt off screen. That's one example.
I cannot wait. What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Nerd Gen Report. I'm your host, Pablo, and joining me as always is Mr. Brian Schultz. Fantastic Four is upon us. Or better said, Galactus is upon us. I've always said Galactus should be a spectacle. You should be almost in a trance watching what's happening with that character and what's being said when he speaks. Those to me are very important things that has to work for me in this movie. I'll gladly take, perhaps some of the negative reviews that will come with this, although I haven't heard many bad or negative reactions towards this, Brian. I've heard some good stuff. So, yeah, let's get into it before it comes out, because Brian and I are both seeing it on Thursday. And we're thinking about doing a show afterwards so that we can get into a non-spoiler, keep that non-spoiler theme going, which is difficult. But yeah, Brian, what do you think? What are people saying?
So the reactions have been released. The review embargo won't go up for another couple of days. Look, I mean, I think we've been on this since the beginning. I think anyone who's seen even the first sizzle reel noticed that the biggest hook is the visuals, visual aesthetic, the retro, and the number one theme of the reactions is positivity toward how this movie looks. And for Marvel, that's a big thing. This is a company that has really taken a lot of heat for how its movies have looked, how shoddy the CGI has been. For a number of years, it's kind of become a punchline. So the fact that people are really responding to the aesthetic that Matt Shakman has put into this film is a thing. Like, that matters, that people are not being put off by, as you say, spectacle. And this is a movie that is CGI wise very challenging, right? If you think about Galactus, Surfer, Reed's stretchiness, the torch, like, there's a lot of ways that bad CGI could actually take you out of a set piece or a scene. So the fact that people are coming out of this movie saying, man, this movie looks really good, that's actually a really meaningful, good sign. The reactions have really not talked about the story. Now, this is the, I think where you and I, once we get past, have they realized Galactus effectively? And we're hopeful that they will. And we think Innocent will give us something voice-wise. He seems like he is all in on this character. But the story and where it leads us, I think, is probably our number two sort of how do we feel about this? The reactions really don't touch on that. There's a lot of references to the family and how the first part of the movie in particular is very compelling because of the family. Not a lot in the reactions about the go forward of Marvel, about oh, this really opens the door for X, or wow, I can't believe they said it. There's not really any, they're not teasing any of that. So that's kind of the TBD of this.
You think they showed the end credit scenes?
That's a good question. I think they've said there obviously are end credit scenes. I have not seen any reactions reference them, so maybe they're not allowed to make a comment about that. Galactus gets good marks. People like Galactus, not just as a visualization, but they're I'll just quote, Galactus gives this film real stakes and his presence is felt off screen. That's one example.
Can't wait. I cannot wait. I cannot wait.
Also got some marks, and I think this is really Marvel working overtime on this one, similar to what they try to start with Thunderbolts, but self-contained. The idea that you don't need to have seen the other however many movies to get into this, right? There's a references to like, hey, you can just jump into this ride and go for this ride, and I'm with it. I understand it. That's another thing that's coming out of these reactions. I think Marvel's really trying. But this is, in theory, if this is not the full reset, this is like the prelude to chapter 1 of the reset. That's how I think about this movie. And Vanessa Kirby gets the most mention. No surprise. I think she gets the most mention of, but all 4 get praise. But I think there's a
anything on Reed though.
Well, so the biggest thing on Reed is not in the reactions. To me, I sent it to you. The biggest thing on Reed is a pseudo confirmation that he will in fact be the leader of the new Avengers in Doomsday, which sort of subverts. Remember, technically, President Ross was asking Anthony Mackie to reassemble the Avengers sort of for his own purposes in Brave New World. Now comes word Reed will actually be the quarterback for the Avengers by the time of Doomsday.
I'm curious to see how this team is formed. Thing?
Not much. I didn't see much about Evan Moss Bachrach specifically or how the thing works. Less about Johnny as well. It was more just the collective of the cast does well, the family dynamic works, and then there's a little bit of hints of like maybe the Marvel third act problem, because most of the reactions seem to be kind of saying like the build up and the earlier parts of the movie are the stronger parts of the movie.
The third act. That means that they didn't land the plane. It wasn't a smooth landing.
But as you would expect, that also gets into the big set piece Fantastic Four against Galactus and or Surfer occurs. And so that's, these days people have a very high bar. I would even say like in Superman, people had sort of mixed reactions to the elements of Superman versus Ultraman versus Engineer. Like at the end, I think there's some people that are like, hey, that's too much of a punch fest. It's hard to satisfy people in that regard. So we'll see. But yes, I'm not seeing a lot of reactions that at least are giving away that it's a big slam bang, blockbuster, amazing ending.
You've seen it in IMAX, right?
Yeah. Not as shot for IMAX as Superman, but yes, I will see it that way, just so I can see Galactus.
Yeah, man. Galactus. He is the star of this. And what do you think about them cutting Malkovich's joint?
Red Ghost? Well, like I said, it deprives us of the Teddy KGB memes. I'm kind of sad about that. But I guess I give Shakman credit, right? I mean, look, there is clearly a movement, and I think it's a healthy movement for us, and I hope Matt Reeves has taken a few notes, to make these movies shorter. Right? Superman is 1 hour 58 without credits. This movie, I believe, is 1 hour 55. So there is a real movement afoot that realizes people don't want to see 3 hour superhero movies unless they are culmination, endgame, No Way Home type films. These are 2 hours. We got 2 hours of tolerance. We need good product, tight product. And I think that's why things like the Malkovich thing, you got to make the hard decisions. Are these 3 minutes really servicing your bigger goal? Or is it just to show that I got John Malkovich on the phone to do this?
You want to leverage it, put it the director's cut on Disney Plus. That's it.
It has always boggled my mind why they don't use the streamers for more of that.
It's content, baby.
As much as we like goof on Zach, I'm like, he's the only one who sort of has gotten the idea that like you can use a streamer to have multiple cuts, and that's kind of part of what it's there for.
Yeah, yo, you want to keep people interested and coming to you because you got the exclusive stuff. Take advantage.
Take advantage, man. Take advantage.
And in this case, it's not like you got to spend $70 million to make the new cut. You're taking existing completed footage and removing it. So you could just put it back in and it's done. Yeah, I'm always curious they don't do that. But anyway, I think it's probably a good decision story-wise. It makes it tighter, as much as like Malkovich is never bad.
It's weird, like when I've had to edit stuff and it's like, damn, man, I got to cut this. And you got to cut good stuff. But as long as he got paid, right. I'm pretty sure he's good.
Yeah, but you're right. Cuts are a thing. Like there are movies. I mean, I always bring up Kingdom of Heaven because it's like it's a legit good movie director's cut. It's like a nonsensical mess theatrical cut. Like it's like there are certain movies where yes, the extra material actually makes the movie legitimately better. I mean, I would even say like BVS director cut is considerably better than BVS theatrical. I don't think either movie is that good, but I do think the 3 hour version is better. There are some times where the director's cut doesn't do anything for me. Like there's Ridley Scott tinkers with, or Michael Mann. Sorry, not Ridley Scott. Michael Mann tinkers with Last of the Mohicans, and there's like 5 cuts of this movie, and you're just like, I don't know that any of these is really making. It's like, but they're all out there. Like every time he puts a new one out, I watch it on streaming. But I'm like, and the movie's fine. Like I think the theatrical cut is quite entertaining. But like he's always got like 5 cuts. Or Ridley Scott. I was thinking of Blade Runner. Blade Runner has like 6 cuts to it, and like I don't know. I mean, I'm just wedded to the original, but like he keeps middling around with it. So anyway,
Box office. What do you think?
so the tracking's come down a little bit. The initial forecasts were like 125 to 136 US. Now they're saying 100 to 110.
What's your prediction?
I think a Fantastic Four probably going to outperform Superman globally. That probably would put the global, if it's 105 US, probably looking at global similar to Superman, like 220, 225, which put these films maybe on similar tracks, depending on how good they are. So what's your reaction to that? So let's say Fantastic Four also makes about 600 million and is kind of a beginning of the reset process for Marvel, but it's generally well received. You consider that like enough of a win?
I think it's gonna do better globally, right?
Yeah, it'll be more, I would think more than half the box office will be global on this one for sure.
Where do you think we end up with Superman?
Well, now it's looking like 350 US at least, 250 global. So that would be at least 600, maybe going to 650, somewhere in that area. That's what it looks like we're headed toward pretty safely.
I would say probably a little bit above that, probably 700 maybe.
Okay. I think that's pretty good for a Fantastic Four, which has had a really troubled history on screen. If this has decent reviews and the audience score is like A- cinema score and the audience score is in the 90s, like, and this makes 700, I think that's a win for Marvel. Because again, they're not getting anything from China, so they won't get much of anything there.
There wasn't anything said about Silver Surfer?
Just that it looks good. Just that the VFX of Surfer look good.
Yeah. You guys already know where we stand on that. But
so, okay, rank order performances, characters you're most excited to see. Galactus is clearly one, right? That's like hands down number one. So who's number 2? Reed?
yeah, I want to see how Reed is portrayed. He's the smartest dude on earth, so I want to hear what he has to say. So, and how he says it. Do we get that banter between Ben and the rest of the team and Reed Richards trying to explain what's the plan or trying to explain what's going on and them not understanding, or Ben saying something funny to sort of to explain it in layman's terms, whatever. So we're going to get all that. So I'm looking forward to seeing all that. Next, I would probably The Thing. And how he uses his powers, like how strong this dude is. This, you know what I'm saying? Because if he's strong and this dude is strong, then the Hulk got to be ridiculously strong. You know what I'm saying? So there goes the comparison, and I'm interested in seeing the Invisible Woman and how. Because again, they said that she is the sort of like the leader almost, right, of this team.
Yeah, she's the soul of the family. Yeah, I that's what I would have. I would have her 1A with Reed. I think it's those two because I think you can get away with Johnny being just okay. I think you can even get away with Ben being just okay. Although I think Ebon Moss-Bachrach will be better than okay. But I think if Reed doesn't work. And I think if Sue doesn't work, and if they don't work together as a couple, I think now you're struggling, right? Because it's like if you look at the Tim Story version, it's like Yoan Guffrud and Jessica Alba have no chemistry, like none. And so, like right there, you're like, it's very tough. Like, Chris Evans is pretty charismatic. I don't think Chiklis is terrible, but when you're Sue and you're Reed have no chemistry, the family doesn't work. So you got better actors here, right? Like Pedro and Vanessa are better actors individually. They seem like they have good chemistry in the press circuit. If they have as good chemistry on screen as they seem to in interviews, they might have some. They might have made some good business decisions here. In fairness to Marvel, I know I've not been on the Pascal bandwagon for this, but like he was cast obviously a while ago. I would say his star has only risen since he was cast. I think things like The Last of Us, I think just like the brand of Pedro Pascal seems like at an all-time.
He's like the Antonio Banderas of our time.
I was just about to say he's kind of viewed as like this is the modern handsome leading man of art. Like now, this is the look, this is the style, this is the feel and aura of that. Like you're right. I don't know if it's like, but yeah, it's like you go through time and it's like there's moments in time where it's like who's your quintessential leading man, and it feels like at the moment Pedro Pascal kind of is that or close to that, and they got him into this part before he became that.
There are those people who see. I don't know if you remember him in Narcos.
That's what I say. Yeah, absolutely.
He reminded me of a modern Burt Reynolds. He had the mustache.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
And Burt Reynolds had a run where he was the guy. Like he was like, people forget that in the 70s, there's a period where like he's like the guy if you could get him.
So
the ladies' man, the guy.
Yeah. Pedro Pascal has that affect on screen. Because in a lot of performances, he's been the highlight. In Secret Service, what's it called? Kingsman.
Second Kingsman. He's the villain in Second Equalizer. That's like a small part before he becomes famous. He obviously is hamming it up as Maxwell Lord in Wonder Woman 84. Not his fault, but he is. And then obviously his voice as the Mandalorian wound up being its own thing. So he exactly. He's been like circling and I think now has moved into, Pedro Pascal top of the call sheet time is here. And I think this movie will go a long way to cementing that, debunking it. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I think for me, part of it, like I said, part of it is he has the charm and he has the sex appeal. Can he blend the nerdiness, the arrogance? The trick of Reed is, right, Reed is a celebrity, but he's also he's not the best guy all the time. He's not like a sweetheart. Like he talks down to you. He's like
and that's probably a piece that we'll be missing. I don't know.
I mean, if you're looking for the essence someday, a well-portrayed Reed with Pascal and a well-portrayed Doom with Downey, you should have two pretty self-assured, arrogant intellects going head-to-head a little bit. There's an aspect to that.
You pay to see that interaction.
And if he's going to be the leader of the Avengers in Doomsday, one would presume he will have some kind of scene opposite Downey.
Like Reed can't sleep because of Doom sometimes. And he said, and again, Reed doesn't mince words, but he said it straight out. He's the most dangerous man. This is the sort of confrontation.
This is Sherlock Holmes, Professor Moriarty, right? That's the analogy I was thinking about.
Yeah. Anything else, Brian, before we wrap this one up?
No, let's just keep the fingers crossed, and let's hope that this has legs as well, and both succeeds and gives us all the good feelings going into next year, where I think next year feels like a little more of a boom or bust year, but I feel like hopefully we can go in with some good vibes. Like Supergirl is kind of inherently could be a boom or bust type of project, female-led superhero action type movies, as we've talked about many times. And then Avengers Doomsday, which has seemed like a mess all along the way, but can we get some good vibes? Like I know Thunderbolts didn't make the money they hoped, but it's like if Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, if those are good films heading into next year, you're like, okay, signs of life here, signs of momentum. And then of course you got Brand New Day as well, so you got sort of a guaranteed moneymaker in Spider-Man, which we'll talk about a little bit in The Void, because it sounds like visually they want to do something a little different with this one, and I'm here for it. I'm not opposed to that. So we'll see. But I'm very excited to watch this movie just visually. I'm very excited to take in the family. I'm a little bit nervous about all the stuff they're trying to get into this, but cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, remember to hit that like and subscribe, comment in the comment section below, share with friends, and we'll see you next time on the Nerd Gen Report.